Okay, so this is the Queens+Kings website, which I assume anyone who is in this tutorial has already seen. You would have gone to mint your Queen King earlier today if you did the public mint, or yesterday if you did the raffle mint. And then you will probably be familiar with the My Collection button, which takes you, as long as your wallet is connected, which you need to be using a browser that supports MetaMask extension. So if your wallet where you hold your royals is connected to the website, then when you click My Collection, it will show you what you've got. And I've got in here royals that are in various states of disarray. So for example, you can see this queen is missing a background. This queen is missing a crown because I have done some hacking already. But for today, we wanted to take you through the steps of the very first processes that you will have to undertake to get hacking. So this queen is a freshie. She has never been hacked. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like. So again, starting from the home screen, because I'm sure a couple people have joined us since I started talking. Starting from the home screen, you'll make sure that your MetaMask is connected to the wallet where you keep your royals. Click My Collection. If you've just got one queen, then that's what will show up here. And I'm going to select the queen that has never been hacked, and we will start hacking her. Just so everybody's on the same page as me, the reason it's showing these traits in my wallet on the website is because I have hacked a bunch of royals already. Before I even start hacking this queen, actually, let me go back. Sorry. I want to make clear that this website is not a traits marketplace. I know it's a little bit misleading right now because I do have a fair variety of traits in my wallet, but that's because I've become completely fucking obsessed with the project since December and acquired a larger number of royals than my family needs to know about. So that's going to be our little secret on this call. So these are all traits that I own. If you only have one royal in your wallet and you haven't hacked them yet, you're not going to see any of these traits down here until you mint the traits from that royal. And if you have other unhacked royals in your wallet, then the traits for them won't populate either. So for example, we're going to be hacking this queen today, who, as I said, is a virgin. She has this pretty rare multi-corn horn crown. You don't see that in my section of crowns that I own because she has not been hacked. But yes, to be clear, when you do this process, you're not going to be purchasing additional traits on this website at this time. I'll go over that in a different stage of this tutorial where you can get additional traits. Some people expressed disappointment. They thought that when they were hacking a royal on the Queens+Kings website, they would be able to sort of like select new traits from anything they would want in the world. I would love for that to be the case. That is not how it works exactly, because the traits are owned by other people and you have to acquire them or trade for them. So let's start hacking this queen. You will only see this mint traits button with a virgin royal. I'll show you what it looks like, what steps you see when you have already minted traits from a royal. But this first step that we're going to do is the most gas intensive step. So I'm going to press mint traits, and it's going to mint a new NFT for each of these things: crown, hair, eyes, mouth, face, dress, body, background. So after all is said and done here, I will have 8 individual trait NFTs. And if I detach them completely from this queen, I will then have a 9th, which is sort of this base, this mannequin template form that you could use to apply other traits to. I'll go over all of that, but people are asking, how many NFTs will I have? Well, if this queen had a horns or a choker or something that would be categorized as a power, that would be a 9th NFT trait that would be generated. And if she had a beard, which she doesn't, that would be a 10th. And then if I detached all of those things from the base, that would be 11 NFTs total. So that's the maximum number of NFTs that you could produce from any royal. People have asked, why is the mint price for this project relatively high compared to a lot of other PFP projects in the marketplace right now? The mint price for Queens+Kings is obviously 0.423. And that's the reason, because you can get between 9 and 11 NFTs from the royal that you purchase, and you can put some of those or all of those on the marketplace and recoup some of that initial investment. So I'm going to press mint traits. This will ask me for gas approval. It's actually, this is not terrible compared to what I've seen, but Paul, can you come on and we'll walk through the steps of how I would edit this a little bit?
Yes, sure. So before you do that, well, while you're looking at that, you can see that is pretty high, but you should probably actually just take a quick look at what the current gas prices are
Yeah, so what's
from that.
the website for that? Remind me.
Yeah, let me pull that up here.
You're going to have to read it to me because I can't look in the chat.
Sure, I'm going to put it in the chat, but it is just etherscan.io/gas tracker.
Okay. So right now we see that there's not huge variation, but high is 58 GUI, average is 56 GUI. I think one of the important things to understand about this initial gas sucking transaction of creating individual traits from your royals is that you can kind of set it and forget it. There is no rush to complete this hacking. I know everybody's super excited. I've been super excited. I have been impatient. I've hacked a bunch of royals when gas has been high, but there's no reason you have to hack immediately. Hacking is an integral function to this project. Hackatao has no plans to remove that from the roadmap. So there's not a deadline to get your royals hacked by tomorrow. You can set it and let it go overnight. So Paul will walk us through those steps, but again, to have in mind sort of like what is the cost of gas right now. So when I pressed mint my traits, let's actually just take it from the top here.
Yeah, that transaction's pending, so I'm not sure if you just want to reject that and start over.
Yeah.
So we'll look at the initial, what it shows is an estimate, and then.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to select again the royal who has not yet been hacked. Sorry for my delay and my fat fingers. Okay. You'll only again see this mint traits button this first time that you're minting traits from a royal. It will ask me to authorize the gas, and then I'm going to press this edit button.
Yeah, so right now it's showing or actually no, what is it showing? $317.
Yeah.
Right now, $163.
Yeah, but it says it could be a max of up to 317, which is obviously not what we would like to pay in hacking.
Right. So we're gonna push edit suggested gas fee. And here there's 3 different boxes, but you only want to edit the very bottom one where it says the max fee.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go back to that tab you have up there, it looks like gas might have even dropped a little bit. Since it's not much of a difference, you might as well put it in as fast for 45. But if there was a big difference, you could do it as a slow transaction, and your transaction will just confirm when the gas gets down to that level. You just might have to wait a little bit longer.
Okay.
So if you put in,
I want this to go through right away so that we can proceed with this demo, I'm actually going to go ahead and put it even higher than the highest gas right now,
which is 50. Yeah.
Right. But to Paul's point, like you could set that for the low and just walk away from the, I've done it where I set it before bedtime and I wake up the next morning with the minted traits. So it says max fee too low for network conditions, but we're going to
ignore it. Looks like it went up to 55 there on the tab. That's probably why.
Then I'm going to go ahead and do 60 just because we want to get this done for this particular tutorial.
Yeah, but it was 90 and you made it 60, so you just instantly saved about 30% of your fee on your transaction there because you're paying less for gas.
When it is in the process of hacking, by the way, this is a link that you can right click and I can pull up the transaction that's pending on Etherscan to get a sense of, whether it thinks it's going to be done with this minting my traits in 30 seconds. Success. So that has gone through. So now when I go back here, instead of saying mint traits,
Real quick,
what?
can you go back to that transaction real quick? I just want to show
Yep,
you something
sure.
else on it. So if
Yep.
you scroll all the way down to the bottom
Mm-hmm.
and you look at the
That's what
actual
I ended
fee,
up paying, which is
yeah, it could,
significantly
yeah,
less than what it
yeah.
estimated.
If you click to see more, where it's over to the left,
Yep.
you'll see the limit that is actually used and what was actually spent. Where am I looking? See, it says gas limit and used by transaction right above that. It's
Yep.
see, that's the limit, and that's why you never really want to adjust that, because if you adjust it less, um, your transaction might fail. But if you adjust it higher, it doesn't charge you. You actually get that back. So it actually only used 66%. So um, when you
Okay.
actually looked
I
at the
think you're
estimate
getting
and what you
into
actually get charged, it's actually less.
Paul, I love you. I think that's a little too into the weeds on gas for probably this first time. But I think another interesting thing to note about this Etherscan transaction record for minting the individual traits is that you see it's actually created a bunch of new tokens. And so, oops, that's just a queen I was looking at because I have an obsession. Okay, so now let's go back to my collection, and you're going to see that whereas the multi-horn crown, whatever that's called, was not in my wallet, it's going to show up here in a second. It takes the website a minute to recognize um, that those things are in my wallet, but it should refresh in a moment. See there, now we can see that this horn crown appears. This girl's hair is now amongst my hair options. Her eyes are here. Her mouth, which is actually the reason I purchased this royal, was for that mouth. Because as the traits marketplace becomes more robust, you'll be able to go after individual traits that you're interested in. But in the early days of this project, if I wanted a particular trait, I really kind of had to just purchase the whole royal. So now we're going to look at my wallet, because I just want to show you this was my wallet before, right? And you see that this royal is in here, but her traits are not. Now that I have minted her traits, I'm going to press refresh, and you see that they've all appeared in my wallet. This little symbol, this watermark at the top left, this is what indicates that the trait is still attached to a royal. So we'll go over the traits and the marketplace in just a moment, but I just want to sort of flag this for you that you cannot acquire a trait in the marketplace that has this symbol on it. It's already attached to someone else's royal. Okay, so the queen that I actually really wanted to hack today is this girl, who I'm going to turn into my Halloween queen. People who know me know that I have a real obsession with Halloween, and I've been acquiring parts for this girl to make her into like the ultimate vampire Halloween queen. So since she has been hacked before, and actually I'll show you, this is what she started out looking like. I've already hacked her once. You can see she got a little cheek reduction, and she got some new eyes, which I actually swapped with Limby to acquire these eyes. So Limby, I don't know if you're on this chat today, but thank you again for making my blue skull eyes dreams come true. So now, because she's been hacked, we don't have a button that says mint traits. We have a button that says hack it. Okay, so that's what allows me to swap things in and out. And so I'll again press hack it. And now my inventory of traits is gonna come up. I wanna look for a different face for her. So I sort by face, and I'd like to use this face. I'm going to show you one step at a time what those changes would look like. So when you press save changes, it gives you this preview window. I haven't reminted it, I haven't finalized it, but you do have the ability to preview what the changes that you're making are going to look like. Now let's look for a different body for her that matches that face. So I'm going to choose that body. Okay, and I'll do this a step at a time so that you can start to see this transformation. Some of my friends in this community know that I have an obsession also with the wavy hair, and I wanted the purple hair for her. So at one point I had bids out on 16 different royals that have this hair, again, so that I could just acquire that hair because I'm a psychopath. So that is what I want her to look like. I'll show you again where she started. Or maybe I can put this on the left so you can see better. Okay, so that's where she started. I loved the palette, the way that the algorithm generated her with this purple and orange, I think is super cool and super Halloween-y. Oh my goodness, I forgot the most important component. We just hacked that Virgin Queen so that I could get to her vampire mouth, and then I forgot to attach that. So let's do that, and that's why it's really good, you know, to sort of check the preview and make sure you've accomplished everything that you want to accomplish before you remint it. So that's a pretty cool before and after, I think. And I might get her another crown eventually, or I've been looking at the spoon dress for her that I'll show you guys. It looks like a vampire cape, but I'm pretty happy with her. This is pretty close to where I want her to be as a final version. So now I'll press next because I'm ready to remint her, and it will give me this remint option. Okay, and so again, I'll get to approve this transaction. Let's go through the gas steps again. First of all, you can see that reminting as a transaction is significantly less expensive than it is to mint the individual traits in the first place. Let's refresh and see where the gas numbers are at. Gas, of course, went up again because why wouldn't it when I'm trying to do something, right? That's okay. So I'm going to do the edit. Okay, edit suggested gas fee. Let's do 60 again, which is still significantly lower than what it was saying it needed to be. Confirm. You can see that it's pending. Let's open the transaction on Etherscan. It's going to be less than 3 minutes, hopefully significantly less than 3 minutes. I don't want to keep you guys all waiting that long. Okay, success. So I'm going to go to my wallet and she will shortly be in there. Now, what I like to do just to keep my wallet organized is when traits are attached to something, if I'm using them, I actually like to hide them just so it's like less clutter in my wallet. Okay, so these tokens right now, you'll see that these display numbers that are higher than the number 6,900. There are 6,900 royals in this collection. When you remint a royal after changing some of its traits, it produces a new token ID. Now, why is it doing this for 4 of my royals right now? Well, that's because when I selected traits, I took the face from one royal, the hair from another royal, the mouth from a third royal, and I applied them to this girl, which is 535. So that's 4 royals that have been changed as a result of that operation. So you'll see that it takes the system a second to understand what's happening here. But if I refresh this shortly, the numbers, the original numbers are going to come back. So this was 7346 or 7350, I can't remember, but that's like a temporary display. And if I started with Royal 535 and I'm applying traits to that base, it will always go back to displaying that original royal number. So just something to keep in mind, like if you get a really cool number like 666 or whatever, you might want to strip all the traits away from it and reuse the base so that you can retain that number. But in any event, it will temporarily display once you remint it with a different token ID that is a number greater than 6,900, but then it will reset to its original number. So these are now the hacks that have resulted from my stealing parts from these girls, right? So it's a little kooky, like what it looks like in your wallet. And again, I've now got these extra traits that resulted from my initial mint of all the traits for that unicorn horn girl. So I'll do one more just so you guys, really get the hang of the process. I'm going to work with a queen that has already been hacked, but I'll just, do again these steps for you. I got this Korean skull paper, which I'm obsessed with. So again, there's no mint traits button because the traits for this royal have already been minted. I'm going to do hack it. I am going to use these super cool kitty eyes. I'm going to use the zipped death mouth, which I think Paul mentioned in the chat earlier is the only mouth that has a nose with it. So let's see what that looks like. I don't know if I'm done with her or not. I actually acquired in the marketplace a sort of a fatter face because I wondered what it would look like with these. The kitty eyes are fairly wide set. Should we take a quick vote? Do people have a feeling on whether I should stick with the validator face or this wider kind of bobbleheady skull head, more bigger head for these wide eyes? I'd love for people to weigh in quickly before I do this hack. Taking votes.
What was the two options there?
Yeah, no problem. So there's this wider face, or there's the validator face that this royal actually came with.
Okay, we could do a little vote here.
Yeah. I suspect Akatau will prefer the validator because it's pretty close to Sybil, which I know is Akatau's favorite face shape. But I acquired this crown yesterday specifically to go against this paper. I think this dark Korean skull paper needs the light crown up against it. And
Validator's winning.
Validator's winning? Okay.
Oh yeah, by
Okay,
a lot.
so I'm gonna keep it like this. That's this head, so I'm gonna keep this head on it. And I'm gonna press hack it. Oh, nope, sorry, not pressing hack it. We're happy with the changes. We're gonna move forward. That means I press next and remint. Let's check what the gas is at right now. High is 52, so maybe I'll do 55 just to make sure this goes through. If you lose your MetaMask confirmation window, you can just click that again. Or wow, it's showing like literally double what I need right now. So confirm. And then again, we can look on Etherscan. This one, it says it's going to happen pretty quickly. I'm going to close all these Etherscans. And pretty quickly, you'll see in my wallet. Oh, so she refreshed the metadata in OpenSea cached, and you can see her mouth is missing. But this girl still got those kitty eyes, so we know that, the process is in process. Okay, now she's gone, I think. And you'll see what happened is that this girl turned into a Genesis. So people keep asking about Genesis. The Genesis queen or king or royal is what the algorithm originally generated. Once you have minted traits from a royal and then swapped them in, swapped them out, borrowed them for another royal, or put a new trait on this royal, a Genesis version is created and it will show what the history of this, it will always be a snapshot of what the algorithm originally generated. People keep asking, well, you're telling us, Akatau team, that Genesis cannot be sold or traded. Why do we see a sale history, or why do we see offers? These offers existed before she was hacked. So they don't go away, but if I pressed counter or accept at this offer that exists for this royal, OpenSea would reject that transaction. The Genesis cannot be independently traded. And if you see a sale history for it, it's that the royal was transacted prior to being hacked. Okay, so now you'll see that this is done. And in my wallet, let's see what's going on. Okay, content not available. It will need to give it a minute to refresh. You see that generated, again, 2 new token IDs because I borrowed a trait from one to use for another. And then this will reset to reflect that it has this 3085 number, which is the original royal number again. So that should happen any moment. Now I'm going to walk you through sort of how to evaluate the marketplaces and understand how to search for different things there. So this is the, oh, nope, sorry. Let me get back to the main marketplace. So this is obviously the main marketplace for royals. Since we've been in the middle of a mint, I actually like to sort this by recently created, just because it's so exciting to see the metadata refresh and these new royals pop up. But interestingly, if you sort by recently created, obviously you can tell 5543 is a new token ID that has been generated as part of the actual drop of 6,900 algorithmically designed royals. But you can also see 4276, which is the royal that I just re-minted, right? So the recently created sort reflects both hacked royals as well as newly produced royals. So that, you know, this is one that I just hacked, this is one that I just hacked, this is one that I just hacked. And that's sort of like, you know, you just need to be aware of what you're looking at, which is why we're doing this. I see a ghoul here. This person is going to receive a call from me at some point because I am going to steal that body at some point. Okay, so let's go over some of the options in here. Minted traits, what does that mean? If you press minted traits true, then what it is sorting is royals that have had their traits minted, that have gone through the process on the Queens+Kings website of you having clicked mint my traits, blah, 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 okay? Like creating the individual traits. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are hacked. It means that traits have been created for them. If a royal for which traits have been minted is sitting on the floor at a reasonably low price, there can be an economic advantage to acquiring that royal because you won't have to spend that money for the initial minting the traits transaction fee. But, you know, we'll see how the marketplace develops in terms of pricing recognition in that regard. But I want you to understand what you are looking for, because people have unfortunately been acquiring these templates, this base layer. What this is, and again, like the first clue is that it says minted traits true, and there are no other traits listed in the properties here. So what this is the base from Queen King 66. Somebody stripped off all the traits. They may be selling those traits in the marketplace, which will go to the traits marketplace in a moment, or they may be using them on other royals that they own. But in any event, this is the base, but it doesn't come with any traits at this stage. So to me, it doesn't seem rational to pay double the mint price to acquire a royal that has no traits, when you could, right now, I think there's still a few left to mint for 0.423, and you would be getting a royal that can be turned into between 9 and 11 traits. I think what has been happening is that people are thinking that this is a royal who has yet to be revealed. And just to be clear, let's look again at what that looks like. There's a very different image for, this is the image for when, oh, well, she just revealed, but this is the placeholder image for when the appearance of a royal that has traits has not loaded yet. And that mannequin looking thing is not going to reveal. This just doesn't have traits. Similarly, this is a royal that has a face and a body, but no background. So if I open up properties, you'll see minted traits true. You'll see face, I think this is maybe Morker shape, we'll see. And we'll see a glam body style. Okay, this is whale face, sorry. But you see 3 traits, but this isn't even really a trait. This is just telling us that it has had minted traits. These could be removed. You wouldn't have to mint these traits now, but if you acquire this, what you are acquiring is a blank face and a body And that's it. No background, no hair, no eyes, no mouth, etc. So I just want people to be really aware of, when you see things sitting on the floor, it's not necessarily like such a bargain. You have to know what it is that you are looking at. This royal, you would be acquiring a face, a body, hair, and a background, which is 4 traits. So we'll see 5 if I open up this, because it will also reflect minted traits true. Oh, that's weird. It doesn't even show the body and the face. This must be very new, so the metadata may still be refreshing. But in any event, so I hope you guys are getting that picture. So if you want to look for, conversely, you want to look for virgin royals, you would look for minted traits false, right? And then sorting by price low to high is a more accurate picture. At least with any of these royals sitting at the floor, you're getting between 9 and 11 traits once you complete that mint individual traits process. Let me stop there before we go into the traits marketplace. And Paul, can you let me know if there are questions about the stuff we've just done?
Can do. We do have some questions that have filtered in. Some might be for Hackatow, some might be for the dev team, though.
Yep.
So let's see. If I have hack traits, I can specifically choose which traits to list on the traits marketplace, ? Any tips to share, that would be super appreciated.
Okay, well, I'm obviously not going to give like market tips, but let me show you how to detach traits from your royal so that you can offer them in the marketplace. I'm going to do it with this royal because it's already pretty stripped down. So I'm going to press hack it. Okay. The way that you detach traits from your royal is by minting it without those traits. So right now, forget about everything down here. Ignore this whole section right now. Right now, this is telling me that what this royal has is a crown, eyes, a mouth, a face, dress, and a body, but no background, no hair, right? So it's already a little bit naked. The way that I'm going to strip this royal down to a base is by eliminating all of those things and then reminting it. So it's literally going to be naked, save changes, next, remint. What's gas right now? Looks like 63. I'll do 68. You can obviously set it to the low number when you're not, doing a demo for a bunch of people who are waiting patiently. So what that's going to do is generate these traits that don't have that watermark. So let's go to my wallet. Again, it will take OpenSea a little time to understand that operation has happened. Well, another way that you can see what's happening is when I go to my collection, again, it will show things that have this little watermark versus do not. So this is detached. This is not attached to any royal. I could put this in the marketplace. Those clockwork orange type eyes, the sprockety eyes, also do not have that watermark because they have just been detached from that royal. A nice little feature here is that if you hover above the traits, it tells you the rarity level. So the rarity, this is a consistent question we've received many times in Royal Chat, is where is the rarity tool for this collection? Rarity is sort of an illusion with this collection because people are constantly hacking and creating different combinations of traits that result in a different overall ranking of rarity for a particular royal. But the traits are known how many of each, type of crown exists in the collection. And so this rarity is very accurate. And Hackatow has planned to introduce a rarity tool on the website in the coming weeks. So what we just detached from that royal, again, it's that dress with the funnel neck, the cypherpunk. So this doesn't have a little watermark attached to it, the eyes, and a face and a body. So hopefully OpenSea will have updated now. And okay, so now we see this base. I might have hidden things because like I said, I'm a little bit of a cuckoo bird. I don't like to see them in my wallet when they're not, when they're in use, right? So interestingly, this has not yet updated, this metadata. It still says tradable. No, I'll go over that marketplace in a. So why don't I look at the traits
Can you try and
marketplace?
push the refresh metadata? You can always do that as well. That might work.
But people don't yet know about this property. So why don't I take a second to introduce folks to the traits marketplace, and then we'll come back to how I would list my own trait. Okay, so this is the separate traits marketplace. And you can see that right now there are 3,794 items, which means, if you divide that approximately by 10, right? Or we could do it by 8, because most royals there are more royals that have 8 traits than any other number. So 3,794 divided by 8 means that, about 474 royals have had their traits minted. So this is cool. That's a lot of traits. Obviously, you can sort by just hair, just crowns, just bodies, whatever. But I think if you're looking for traits for a royal that you own and you want to acquire a different trait to attach, the most important thing to do is to go to this tradable property and click yes. Now, when this was initially introduced, the relevant property was attached to QK, and the answer was true or false. And in that context, we wanted false. If the question is this trait already attached to a queen and king? You want the answer to be no, it is not, right? So false. And unfortunately, you cannot search both of these categories at once. We're working to refresh the metadata on those 35 unattached traits that were detached from royals in the very early in the market, and get them categorized properly under tradable. But generally speaking, right now, it makes sense to just search tradable, yes, and you'll see none of these have watermarks at that little bracket white symbol in the top left corner. So that means that any of these traits can be acquired and applied to a royal that you own. You can still search by, beards, okay? And that means all of these beards would be available to acquire. Some of them are actually on sale. Some of them you'd have to make an offer. The pricing in the traits market is extremely immature right now because y'all just started hacking yesterday, right? So people don't know what they want things to be worth yet. And this project has always had an element of there are people who are pursuing things on the basis of just their own aesthetic preferences, and other people who are chasing grails and looking to put together the best possible combinations of the rarest possible traits or whatever. So value is always going to be subjective, but it's particularly the case with this project. To me, why would this beard be 1 ETH versus this is 0.01 ETH? Like, that's a wild value swing, but we're confident y'all will figure it out and figure out how much it makes sense for you to pay to build the royal that you care about. So let's go back to my wallet and see if this has refreshed. I don't know why. It just takes a little time. And I think probably the fact that people are minting right at this very minute. Oh, but look, it says tradable, yes. So I think the watermark is the last piece of data that's cached that needs to go away. But because this property has correctly updated to tradable, I will now be allowed to sell it in the marketplace. I have no idea what this is worth. I'm literally just going to throw a number up here because I just want to get it into the marketplace for you to see. And so now if we go to traits, and I'll get rid of beard and we'll select eyes, and I'll sort by recently created. Hopefully this will appear in the marketplace very shortly. Again, it does take OpenSea a little bit of time to process all of this information, particularly when hundreds of royals are being minted at this very moment. But we should see them in here in just a minute. And I guess if you see something in here that still has a watermark, what we've just learned is that the property tradable yes seems to take precedence over that watermark, and the image caching in OpenSea is a little bit slower than the metadata around properties. So don't be alarmed if you see that watermark, as long as it is a tradable trait. So I guess the question, Paul, if I'm recalling correctly, was how do I get the traits off my royal and put them in the marketplace? I hope I've explained that process. We can do it with one more.
Yeah. Why don't you can you show what it's like if you try to buy a trait that is already attached that's listed with a price? Just show that.
Sure.
Yeah, because
Totally.
it won't even go to MetaMask.
Awesome. So let's go back to the traits marketplace. Instead of sorting tradable yes, which is what I normally do, I'm going to do tradable no. Okay. And I really don't want this particular dress, so I hope that that does not happen, but tradable no, buy now, I understand, confirm checkout. Oops, the Ethereum network rejected this transaction. So it just won't work. And that's also the case for Genesis Royals.
Yeah,
So
you
I
can
know,
list them, but you can't buy them.
right. So I know that somebody we were speaking with in the chat a little while ago who has that incredible octopus dress had minted the individual traits, but they were still attached to the royal. And this person was wondering how to get the traits off the royal. This I find to be like perhaps the slightly less intuitive portion of the process. So I'm just going to go through that one more time. I will actually remove the traits from the royal by Xing out all of the options that are this gold section at the top is what is on the royal that you are working on or what you're selecting to be on that royal. So if I selected this crown, it will appear at that top tray. If everything is X'd out, this royal is going to be completely naked, save changes, next, remint, and this will detach. Let me just can edit the gas fee again. I'm going to put it at 70 because gas high is at 67 right now. So this will remove all of the traits from that royal. You'll have that naked mannequin base, and you'll have the traits to list separately in the marketplace. Let's see if this is now, okay, so this is now shown as being available for sale. And what that means is that it should also show up in the traits marketplace, but again, metadata is a little funky on OpenSea, takes a little bit of time. So let me do trait eyes. Oops. And there they are. There's still this watermark, but again, I think that will update, and maybe I'll refresh the metadata again, but again, the most important thing to be looking for when you're looking for traits is tradable. So now we've stripped this off of a royal, put it in the marketplace. You saw how I did that. You understand what to look for in the traits marketplace. Tradable, yes, if you're looking to acquire. I like to sort this by recently created just because this, people are starting to hack a lot right now. So and look, the metadata did update. There is no watermark on these eyes that I just listed. So there are new traits showing up all the time. And because people don't place the same value on things, because value is subjective, you can sometimes get something that's really valuable to you at a price that's reasonable because the other person doesn't place the same value on it. So I was able to secure pretty early on in hacking this H-Tau passionate crown, which is not the craziest, rarest thing in the world, but I happen to love it. It contains a Latin phrase that translates to, "In death, we are all equal." And I'm a morbid queen. So I got this for 0.25, which I thought was like a very cool bargain for me. So it's worth checking out the traits marketplace on a regular basis and sorting by recently created to see what's new. You can, of course, also, like any other marketplace in OpenSea, sort by price, but a lot of things aren't listed with a price yet because people just don't know. Okay, so we've been through the traits marketplace. Genesis Marketplace is not a place that you should be spending time because, as Paul and I have mentioned, you cannot actually acquire a Genesis Royal, but it gives you a good indication of how many queens have actually been hacked. Not just had traits minted, but actually have been hacked, meaning a new trait has been applied to them or traits have been removed from them and they have been reminted, resulting in an appearance that is different than what the algorithm originally generated. So when we say hacked, that's what we mean. Not just that you have minted the individual traits from your royal, but that it has been altered and reminted. It's a little bit of a confusing terminology because when we look at the royals that have this fucking awesome drawn tattoo type illustrated pattern on them, this in the common Akatau parlance is often also referred to as hacked. This is a hacked face, hacked body, hacked pattern. But in the case of this particular queen, which has the Genesis watermark, this is a hacked royal that it has been hacked because it's the hacked pattern and somebody also has altered its appearance. But don't be, sometimes when people are saying hacked, they're referring to this pattern, and sometimes they're referring to its status as having had traits removed or swapped or altered. So you can look in this marketplace to see where something started. My main profile pick queen is Queen 300. This is what she looked like before, and this is what she looks like today. Oh, wait. Okay. So before, after. So it's a cool thing to do. Again, if you're looking in the marketplace specifically for a royal that has been hacked, the way that you would do that or start to try to do that is check minted traits true, right? But then you'll have to evaluate whether there is a genesis for that royal. So let's do recently created. We'll see my vampire queen. And so we know that's actually, let's look at my Valentine queen because Valentine's Day is coming up. Anyone who's looking for a last minute gift, I would suggest this royal, but we can look for her number in the Genesis marketplace and see where she started. Or you can look to see if there is a corresponding, oops, that doesn't make sense, because she certainly has been hacked. So again, this may be a metadata caching issue because I just hacked her yesterday. But if something has minted traits, it will say minted traits true. But if it has actually been altered, then it should also have a Genesis version. So that's just like a check that you can do. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, as I say, we got some more questions kind of coming in here that kind of will go to some of this. So I think it'll be kind of helpful to kind of go through them real quick. So somebody asked, when you buy a royal with minted traits that are true, does it come with the pre-hacked traits? And I think it's just kind of important. You've already kind of been over that. It's going to come with whatever traits are currently attached. So it wouldn't necessarily have the original ones. Maybe somebody could have possibly removed one or two traits. So you have to be kind of careful. You don't buy something that maybe has 6 traits when you thought it might have had 8. Maybe it's missing a background. Maybe it's missing something else. Somebody could possibly remove just a couple from there.
Yes, but to Paul's point, if you were to acquire this hacked royal, these are the traits you're acquiring. They may or may not be the traits that the royal started with, but you can kind of do a quick count to make sure that you're getting something that corresponds to the correct value for you that you are paying. I have sold a hacked royal that did not have a crown, for example, or people have sold a hacked royal that is naked. Maybe it's because it has that cool tattoo pattern all over the face and body and they wanted more of the skin to be exposed. And maybe that's awesome for you too. But to Paul's point, you should look and see how many traits you're acquiring. But whatever the appearance is of the royal that has minted traits true, you are getting those individual traits. And when you do a transfer into your wallet, you'll see that you have all of those traits. So we can look in my activity and see a time that I've sold a hacked royal. And you'll see that, there's like, okay, so I sold this royal. Okay. And he had been hacked already by me. And so when that wallet transfer happened, you can see the person received individual NFTs of the background, the crown, the hair, the face, the eyes, the mouth, the beard, and the body and the dress for that particular royal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the case of this king because he had a beard. So that's what you're getting. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, I believe it does. Somebody's asking about how much it costed for the gas prices on it. Do we remember roughly? Was it the traits were about like $120 or something like that to mint the traits?
Mint all of the traits, yes. Today, I mean, we weren't exactly being thrifty about the gas because we wanted to, move things along and show you guys this process, but it was about 120 today. But then that's the expensive transaction, minting individual traits. Any remint that you do when you apply new traits or remove traits and remint the royal to set those traits in place to attach them to the royal, those transactions are less expensive. That tends to be around $60, $70. And in my personal experience, it doesn't vary dramatically whether you're attaching 2 traits or 8 traits. Like the remint transaction is just cheaper and it doesn't have a lot of variance.
I think the thing that would mainly affect that is how many royals you're going to use to do a hacking. Like if you're taking 2 royals and you're just taking traits from one to the other, it's only going to remint both those royals. Right. But if you take 8 different royals and take 1 trait from all of them, it's going to have to remint all 8 of those royals, and it might be a little bit more.
Right. And actually, the transaction that we did at the beginning of this tutorial, where I showed you guys that in my wallet, it created 4 new tokens because I had used traits from 3 different royals to apply to my Halloween vampire queen. That one was $70 because I guess it was a lot of royals involved. But I've had cheaper remint transactions than that. What other questions?
So somebody asked, to get the most out of this, it seems like you'll need to buy or mint a second royal. You can't really expand your look with just one. And I think it's just kind of important to point out that there is that traits marketplace. So, you can always acquire new traits.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Like at the beginning of this process, when only 2,300 royals had been minted and the marketplace was extremely immature and people were not keen to hack their royals because they wanted to see what else was going to be minted. So when I was hacking and the marketplace had literally 32 traits in it, I needed to acquire a whole other royal in order to have room to groove and traits to play with. But 571 items is not nothing. Like you can certainly acquire a different crown or a different smile or a different hairstyle here and start to play with your single royal if you own one royal, and start to have some fun with it before you take the plunge of acquiring a second royal. Although, look, who am I to talk? I have 7 royals. I'm obviously not going to tell you not to buy more.
Yeah, and there's also a couple things. There's other traits that are planned to be released, and this is something that Hackatel has said over and over and over again, that this is not something that's going to be released and then kind of end. It's something that they plan to kind of keep going on in perpetuity, and they've already had different trait drops that are in here, but that's also going to be changing, and you might see more traits that could come out there. We're going to have burning traits to come out with other stuff, so there's a lot that's going to come out there. But if you only have one royal, I know that one thing that's in development, it's supposed to come out before the end of this month. Hopefully that makes way, is the simulator, to where you're going to be able to kind of see what your royal would look like without actually owning the traits or actually doing any hacking. You'll be able to play around and kind of see which ones you might want to acquire before actually acquiring them.
Okay, so I've just got the roadmap pulled up here. These traits drops are in relation to existing Hackatel projects. I am not lucky enough to be the owner of any other Hackatel one-of-one work, and I I'm not, there are a lot of surprises in this roadmap, and it's exciting that the artists want to keep things under wraps and like unfold things in a suspenseful way for us. But I have deduced or presumed that these drops either relate to these projects, and you've seen, or maybe if there are other Akatao fans in the audience, you will have noticed that some of these traits really specifically correspond to other projects. So there's hair from, an existing design that they've used on, another project, or that unicorn horn crown is inspired by a particular existing work. So I think what we should expect is that either this is a traits drop that uses aesthetic inspiration from the Remix Me project that Akatao had going on at the end of last year, beginning of 2022, or alternatively, it might be a traits drop that is available only to people who participated in that project or own Remix Me works, or maybe both of those things. So,
Yeah.
we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I just think it's just important that there's going to be more traits than what we have now, and it's going to be a constantly evolving project with more and more things that kind of get added on and taken away if we start burning. Who knows?
Let's talk about freezing for a moment, because another question we've received repeatedly is there a deadline for me to hack by? When do I have to hack by? I see that, there's this freezing in the roadmap. Do I have to hack before that happens? The answer is no. Again, hacking is integral to this project. It's a fundamental part of the artist's ethos. They want owners of royals to participate in the creative process by hacking. So there's no plans to stop you from hacking at any time. Freezing is a totally optional thing, but let's look at the terms and conditions for a moment, if I can find those. Freezing is, I'm just getting there. Give me one moment. Okay. Freezing is the process by which, at the collector's, meaning you, user, owner, at your sole discretion and option, the traits comprising an avatar become unchangeable and immutably linked to the avatar NFT, like the base itself. Then that becomes a frozen avatar. So no one is going to force you to do this. But if you hack your royal to a point where you're really satisfied with it and it's your forever royal, then you can choose to freeze it. Why would you do that? Well, now I'm putting on my copyright lawyer hat. The license that you get in a royal that is hacked but not frozen, or a royal that's just generated by the algorithm and is virgin, you minted it this way and you never changed its appearance, you have a pretty broad non-commercial license. You can use it as your PFP, you can post it on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram. You're free to use it, for display in your own home, or to, allow it to be displayed by others, resell it in the marketplace, etc. But you're not supposed to be making t-shirts, merchandise, mugs, etc., animated television series, revenue generating projects, derivative works of the image of your avatar at that stage when it is unfrozen. Once sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have a bunch of questions coming in, and okay. I just didn't know if we want to just wait until the freezing is actually available to kind of go into those details, because I know that those terms can be changing.
Yeah, we can stop, but once you freeze it, you do get certain commercial rights in the avatar as set forth in the terms and conditions. So I just wanted to make it clear to people that there's a benefit to doing it, but it's totally your option, and it's not going to be applied to all avatars in a way that prevents you from hacking them. What else we got question-wise? Paul?
Oh, 1 second here. I just got to paste this in here. All right. So when the genesis and non-tradable traits be separated from OpenSea, I think this causes a lot of clutter or confusion. I think it's an important next step, just a suggestion. I think they might be seeing Genesis royals when they're looking there, and I think that that's maybe just a a metadata refresh. Like if you're just searching for royals, you might see a Genesis mixed in. Do you see that?
Oh, like in
You
the
know,
regular marketplace?
yeah,
Yes,
in
I
the regular
have seen that
marketplace.
occasionally, but it's like when they're, because again, I have this, it happens when they've just been created, and then they generally like shift over to this marketplace. This is regular Queens and Kings. This is Genesis. Actually, you'll note it's very easy to see which is the Genesis marketplace because the top banner has this like ye old photo look about it, this nostalgic, like aged photo look about it because, we're like looking back on these sentimental photos of days gone, days of yore of the royals that don't look like this anymore. But yeah, they shouldn't be popping up in this marketplace. And hopefully the metadata sorts itself out in a relatively timely fashion. Again, there's a lot of traffic on OpenSea for this project right now because we're mid-mint. So I think that might be delaying some of the other metadata updates on these kinds of changes that we're making.
Awesome.
We've received a lot of comments that these base things should appear in the traits marketplace. I don't disagree with that. So I think, that we can discuss that with the dev folks and
That's kind of hard to do because what do you do with a base with one trait?
well, I think a base with one trait would stay in here, but the naked base itself is more akin to a trait. So I see the rationale for that, but we'll have to discuss that. I'm just acknowledging that we've received that feedback.
Okay, I'll agree to disagree there. But anyway, let's see here. Somebody says, can I just buy a trait, for example, an eye, then hack the one royal that I have without minting anything with the royal that I have? I kind of reworded that a little bit.
Yeah, so no, you can certainly just buy a new set of eyes, but you will not be able to apply it to the royal that you own unless and until you mint the traits, the existing traits from your royal, because otherwise you would not be able to detach the eyes that your royal came with. And the minting of the traits, that initial step, there's no way to do it for only individual traits. You have to do the whole batch of all of your royals traits in one go.
Excellent. Next one is just another Genesis question. Just if we have a Genesis, can we ever sell it again? Pretty sure we already kind of went over that the Genesis cannot be bought or sold, but OpenSea will let you list them or receive offers on them, but the transaction's going to fail like buying an attached trait. It just won't let it go through. I did notice that sometimes on OpenSea, the Genesis doesn't always follow the current holder, and sometimes it's still showing under the previous owners, but I think that is something that they're also working out.
Yeah, it's meant to follow, so we're working on it.
Yes. Let's see. The new hack gets a new token ID. That's why you can't search for the new hack even with the same ID, even though the titles will have the same number. Is this an OpenSea metadata confusion, or is this kind of planned?
That's a tech question. I defer.
Yeah, I believe it has to do with the fact that the royals are actually being burned and then reminted, so you can't really have the exact same token ID on the chain. I'm not sure if we have one of the devs on chat right now.
Ooh, look at this icy vampire that was just minted. Obsessed. Yeah, is Leandro on the call at all? We
No,
can come back with answers that we don't have right now. We can try to get an answer and post it in the AMA Answers channel of the Discord.
oh yeah, we'll get a clarification on that. But I think it just has to do because they're reminting, so it has to be an incremental token ID there. Will the transactions ever move to Polygon, or will they always be on ETH mainnet? I think that's probably also a tech question. And I know that Polygon and some things have been discussed, and I know a lot of people hate the gas fees that are with this and feel it could be a lot more functional if it was on Polygon. But I know that Polygon would add a lot more complexity. It would also limit the reach. There's also a lot of other things that are planned that I think that would make that kind of tricky.
I
But
just want to also point out that there's something called Whale Server, which is where this project sort of had its inception in, many, many, many months ago. So I probably can't even scroll up that far. But if y'all can see right here, it says Akatao PFP Not So Secret Project. It used to say Akatao PFP Secret Project. And long before this project was launched, Akatao was in dialogue with members of the community about what this process should look like. And I just want to say that Polygon or Bridge or an alternate chain absolutely was considered. Okay. So it's not like this was just rushed into with total disregard for your gas fees. But for various reasons, the community, I'm not saying it's that there was a stakeholder vote here of like thousands of people, but there was discussion of this, and the people who were participating in that discussion, the community members who were participating in that discussion, agreed that Polygon was not the way to go at that time. So there was thought given to it.
Exactly. Yeah. There was definitely a lot of thought given on that, but they didn't roll it out for some sort of integration or something that could come up down the line. I know that I believe on the roadmap it said something about Sandbox game or something down there, and I know that Sandbox is on Polygon, so never know what could happen down there.
Yeah, that's pretty far in the future, but that's also pretty cool and exciting. And I know Sotheby's has a presence in Sandbox as well. Other questions?
I think that kind of clarified everything, because everything else I think we kind of went over. Is there anybody else here on chat that has questions? Let me just look through this other channel here real quick, see if there's anything else. Do we know how many until sold out?
Actually, why don't you teach us how to look at that information? I know that if you go into any Royal and go to the contract address on Etherscan, like all Royals obviously have the same address, but what would I press, Paul, here to see what the token supply is?
Up in the top right there where it says token tracker, just click on that Queens+Kings avatars.
Yes. Okay, so we're at 5621 out of 6,900. So it sounds like there's a little less than 1,300 that can still be minted, and obviously being minted at a brisk pace. 1 minute ago, 2 3 3 3. So fast and furious. Other questions?
Yeah, after you hack and mint a royal, do you have to rehack a minted royal again? I think you can just hack as many times as you'd like.
Yeah, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to mint the traits in the first place. You don't have to hack your royal. But after you've hacked your royal, you can choose to remint it, or you can leave it in this kind of limbo state where it has traits, but you've not attached them in place. You can, once you've reminted, you can rehack it and remint it and rehack it and remint it as many times as you want.
Awesome. Just to kind of go over about those drops, just Hackatow did respond in the chat here in case anybody missed it.
Yeah.
It just, in the case of the Sotheby's, we still have a plan of how we want, how it will be and to whom. There will be general drops and drops that will require requirements, such as having certain work in the wallet.
I suspect that that's what these refer to, but we'll see.
Yep. Can we transfer Genesis to another person or wallet? You would have to transfer the actual hacked royal, I believe, Correct. If you want to transfer to Genesis. Sorry, I'm just making sure I record all these questions so I can get them later for anybody that's not here. Junebly asked if we could save this voice AMA. Yes, it is being recorded, so this will be up there for anybody that missed it.
Let's just admire my vampire queen again in these closing moments.
Sure. Somebody asked, can you go over one more time how to unlock after minting traits? I think he's most likely. Unlock? I think by unlock, I think they mean detach, kind of. So it could be
okay, yeah, sure.
Could be sold.
Absolutely. So let's see one that I have that looks a little wonky right now because it's lacking. Whoa, I didn't even know yay, I got the distorted mouth that I've been after. I really have mental problems though. Someone help me. I am addicted. Okay, so Hackett. I'm going to do it with this one because she is already missing some parts. Hackett, the way that you remove things is by Xing them out in the hacking utility on the Queens+Kings website. So if I do this, you'll see it's down to a base template. I'll press next. I'll press remint. GUI is at 59 right now. So let's edit this down to 62. Confirm. Let's take a look at the transaction on Etherscan. This one might take a couple minutes. I didn't set it much higher than the high gas, and gas is kind of high right now, suggesting there is some network congestion. But let's see how long that takes. I hope that was clear.
Here's a question for you.
Yep.
I didn't get when and how we will be able to freeze our king or queen. I think they meant queen or king. Will only hacked ones be able to be frozen, or will you be able to freeze a virgin king or queen?
I'll answer that in just a moment, but I just want to show that not only did that transaction complete in obviously less than 3 minutes, but again, the actual gas that was used for a remint after, so we're not talking about the initial mint of the individual traits, but taking stuff off, putting stuff on is a relatively affordable transaction. So now those things, will be in my wallet, hopefully, and I can put them in the marketplace. Okay, so going back to the concept of freezing, you will be able to, for sure, freeze a hacked royal. I actually don't know the answer, so this might be a question for Akatau. If somebody receives a royal that's minted from the algorithm, that they love it exactly as is, don't want to change anything about it, what is that? Does that even need to be frozen because it has not had traits individually minted in the first place? I'm not on the tech side of the project, so I don't know a lot about what freezing will look like from a tech standpoint. I would assume that they would permit royals to be locked that had never been hacked, but I'm not sure whether the dev side of that will look different for freezing a token that has never had traits split off of it versus one that was reminted after traits were, swapped around or attached to it.
Hackadow did say a freezing was scheduled for end of March.
Yeah, and that's in the roadmap. Sorry.
Okay, there's a couple questions here, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to answer them. Is there a way to get notified if someone gives you a special offer without having to check each page? OpenSea doesn't notify me when offers go lower, even though I have that checked in settings.
I can't answer OpenSea questions.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not familiar with how OpenSea. I know I get a ton of different offers for my sandbox land every day. But
that question I would actually encourage you to put in the Royal chat because we have lots of talented, sophisticated, experienced NFT
yeah, community
collectors.
help might be best on that one. Somebody asked if you could transfer not sell a Genesis using LooksRare, for example. It's more in the contract that it won't let it transfer. So I don't think that's going to work either if you try to use any type of method. We have Leandro is typing. He could probably have a more technical response to that one.
We love Leandro.
Yes.
This is a freshie, guys. This just landed in my wallet. Someone accepted my offer. This is an example of like not crazy rare trait, but a trait I really wanted and I had to buy a whole royal for because people haven't done that much hacking yet. So remember, you'll only see this mint traits button the first time that you have to create individual traits for a royal. I'm just doing this while we're waiting to see what Leandro's saying.
Can you see the chat, or we want me to repeat for you?
I can't see the chat.
Okay, yeah. Leandro's saying that freezing will work like this. The traits will get burned, and then the avatar cannot get hacked again. And he's still typing, and I probably should have waited. You then get the IP for the avatar, the intellectual property.
Yeah, I know that part, but can you repeat the first part, the techie part?
He just said that the traits will get burned, like the individual traits. The avatar will get set to where it cannot be hacked again, and then that's when you'll be granted intellectual property on that.
Does Leandro know if that can happen for, so certainly it can happen for a royal that has been hacked. Can it happen for a virgin royal that was never hacked?
Let me ask him.
I don't know who asked that question in the first case, but I think it's an interesting question. Okay, guys, just while we're waiting for that answer, I don't have a need to mint traits from that royal with the black distorted mouth on any kind of an urgent basis. So I set the gas to a number that's below current network medium or high. So you can see that the Etherscan transaction record for that minting transaction is telling me it's going to take a while, but that's okay. I'm going to set it and forget it, and I'll come back later and I'll have traits. I know we tend to think of this as like the donut of doom, but it's okay. Oh, and like when it does this, don't do mint traits again. The website stops processing that as a pending transaction, but it is still pending on Ethereum. On an Etherscan. So just leave it alone. Just don't do anything with that royal. You'll come back to that royal later and you will have the traits for it. Should I stop sharing screen so we can just all be in the chat?
I think that might be a good idea. I mean, if anybody wants to get back, I mean, you can always share the screen of the Discord screen. There you go.
I don't know how to stop sharing screen. There. Okay. I'm still in here though, right?
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
We're still in the chat.
I'm going to the AMA so I can see what people are typing too. I see a question from Fiery. I don't know if we answered this already. There has not been a clarification whether upcoming trait drops are for people who already own certain things or just inspired by those collections. Both of those are possibilities, and both of those are likely in some combination. JJ led in, you're very welcome. We're happy to help, and congratulations again on your newborn.
Megan, do you think it's okay for DC to stop recording? I think we've gone through. I think so. I mean, we could still sit here and answer questions, and there'll be a text based of it. So I think it's good.
Leandro answered the question though about maybe you already said that he did this, Paul, and I just wasn't paying attention. But the freezing can happen to a virgin or to a hacked royal. So if you get one from the algorithm that's perfect, great, you can freeze it.
Awesome. I will put that in there. I got to go through and add a bunch of these questions for anybody that's not here.
I still see some listing with the name plus Genesis. Is that migrated? I think that those Huckapau, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I think that those they will migrate over to the Genesis marketplace. It just takes a little bit of time for metadata to process. You're welcome. Lilo is asking why we can't sell Genesis versions. And I mean, the answer is just that there's supposed to be 6,900 royals in this collection. When you hack a royal and the Genesis is created, if the Genesis could be separately traded, it would actually be, if that happened to every single royal, it would be doubling the amount of royals and doubling the amount of traits. And we don't want that to happen. The idea is a limited supply of traits. So the Genesis is just a snapshot that shows you what it started out looking like, but we don't want those to be tradable because it would artificially inflate the supply of royals and traits. I hope that answers that question. Happy Chilo. I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm trying to mint a new queen and king, but the gas fee is super high. Usually you see that error, that particular error telling you that gas is going to be like $7,000 if you don't quite have enough ETH in your wallet to cover the real gas cost. So if you have, if the minting a royal is 0.423 and you only have 0.424 in your wallet, that might not be enough. And that's when you tend to see that error spitting out. It happens for a couple of other reasons too, though. So make sure you have more than 0.423. And then if it's still doing that, disconnect your wallet, reconnect your wallet. I don't have any information about the DAO, Rubenfeld, but nice to see you. I have done some business with Rubenfeld. He has been very generous to me. Thank you. I think that's going to be a question for Akatao, and I'm sure that information about that will be forthcoming. Someone asked again how many till sell out. You can see more have been minted. We're now at 5640. I'm not good at math, but I think we've got about 1,260 left. Someone please hide my seed phrase, please, because I need to stop buying them. Help. 5640, yay! Can't wait to see that, BK. Good one. I think you're gonna be really happy, BK. You got the clockwork orange eyes with a crown that complements that color, kind of the admiral dress. And if you zoom in really close on that dress, metal on the dress, which is something that Obi showed me, it's actually got hacked, drawn, illustrated, an illustrated detail in there in the metal of the dress. So look out for that.
I went ahead and reopened the Royal Chat channel if anybody, just wants regular general chat.
Okay, guys, it's almost 1:30. I promised my son I'd hang out with him and do a koala crate, which is like a craft box. So I'm going to sign off soon. Oh, Leandro, I want 6666, but I hope you get it.